Mezzacappa.
Oh, thank you. Very, very much.
Make sure I gave you all the keys. The lights mean that we get started soon?
Eric will cue
Okay.
the start of things, I believe.
Alright.
I am for the second half.
So Jordan, we didn't do the middle section of Baccatillo, but I'll make some stuff up and then I'll look at everybody and we'll start. We'll go back. I'm saying that because we've never even done it. Okay.
And I'll give us whatever hand signals seem appropriate. If I
The
suddenly be
other
like,
thing
oh,
that's worth saying out loud that I don't know if it happened in a conversation on Jason's chart because we didn't play it is in Josh tune.
Yep.
After for the blowing we kind of go back and forth between two different.
Yeah.
Okay, wasn't
Yeah,
sure
that's in there.
which the students of the future will decide if that was a good idea.
yes, they will. As usual.
Could be worse. We could be like in a school cafeteria under fluorescent lights counting votes in Maricopa County right now. With like people like mobbing you outside, you know. There's a lot of things worse that could be happening to us right now.
Romas. Rent Romas.
Man, maybe tonight I never usually take him up on a drink. He usually has a drink back there. There's a green room.
There's no drink. I know. I should count on it.
That's funny because I was like,
I know. And I was like, well, I'm definitely going for it. And then I
because in the drive, tonight would have been a good night. Well, can't win them all, Jordan Glenn. You cannot win them all. Speaking of which,
I don't think so. Let me just quickly find it.
the $1 billion.
Okay, you're started.
You can move the course books out of the way.
I don't know. Yeah, I was a little like.
All right. Let's see now. Do I?
it almost calls the whole thing into question. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, here's the solo that they did. It's like, okay.
And it's like, oh, there's no bass solos on these tunes on the record, so you're out of luck.
Yeah, like,
And not in order, you know.
I think it's definitely flexible, but
Not
out of the
presented
gate
as
it was
such.
like, this is what it was.
Well, also, whenever we did anything to like make it breathe, and it was like I could the body language, and after like, no, that's how you did it. So I was like, oh.
Okay. I don't know. Are we hearing anything out of this? Not much, but a little bit, right? It's live. Is it live? Is it Memorex? No, nothing. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get that going. Can you hang on to this? And we'll get this thing.
Testing. Hello, hello.
I'm not talking shit.
Talking into the
Just
microphone.
reflecting on the shared
No,
Hello, everybody.
Thanks for bringing that up, because
That was a
I
little
was like,
surprising.
this is a little awkward.
Hello. Testing. Nothing? I know. I think it's for the live stream.
But it
It's
wasn't even
the
all-
live
I mean,
stream.
it
There
wasn't
are
like the
tens of
things
thousands of
somebody
people
did.
watching the
Sure,
show.
whatever the thing was.
But like, there could even be a concert for that, you know?
yes.
I'm not totally
Testing.
I'm not playing.
Hello. Nothing yet. Yeah, that's right.
So do we need to stick with
This is breakfast music
Yeah,
for
some of those
Europeans.
records didn't even have
Hello,
logic,
hello,
you know,
testing.
we're still, like, doing the orders. Like, we
The
just
space
weren't
almost feels like it's amplified by itself.
participating in it.
It's kind of lovely, isn't it? Testing
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to make
testing. Hello.
There's a lot of different ways.
Okay. Testing. Here we go. Are you guys ready? Here it comes. Testing. Anything? La.
We should play
Nope,
for
nothing
full
yet.
bars at the beginning of the blues.
Nope.
Hello. Testing. Good grief.
Good grief.
Good grief. Such a love performance. Standing in front of people doing something completely ridiculous in any other context. Hello, testing. Hello.
You're talking to the internet now, right?
I'm trying to. Come in the internet.
Talking to the house.
Talking.
The house can hear you, as long as the internet can
channel,
hear
I
you.
think I've
Oh,
got
if it's just for the house.
Maybe I don't. Yeah, you don't need it, but eventually we're going to the stream as well.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
let's see, yellow and blue.
Yellow and
Going
blue.
into, oh, I see. I have that in 8. Then what do I have going into 5? Oh, I see. I got those
Oh.
reversed. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's good in 8.
Everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry, everybody.
The music
They
look
look
worried. They don't look worried.
We can
You
read a
guys should
book.
be passing around a bottle or something. Come on, relax. It's Thursday.
Testing. Hello. Come in the internet. Hello. World Wide Web. We are going out to you. The entire world is paying attention to tonight. Hello, testing. We're just going to talk to the people. You are the people we will talk to. Eric, will you talk to the people first, or do you want me to talk to the people first?
Well, you can set that mic down.
I will put this
It
back
ain't doing
down.
much. And I'll say thank you all for coming. This is Chris Jonas there on the reeds and so on, and he's the ringleader tonight. So
Yeah.
I will turn it over to him.
Well, of course, a giant thanks to Bird and Beckett for putting this together, and a huge thanks to Jordan Glenn. Jordan Glenn had seen none of this music just a few hours ago, and you're going to see some amazing, beautiful things. We had so much fun playing it tonight. And Lisa Mezzacappa, the intrepid, the hero of the Bay Area, made so much of this possible. So tonight, as you know, during COVID, we all found ourselves in a moment of real questioning of who we were and what we were doing. And one of the things that happened for me was somebody said, "Chris, there's a residency at Death Valley, and maybe you ought to apply for it." And I was like, "Death Valley? That'd be an interesting place to go." And I thought I could take the month of January off, and I could write music in Death Valley. And so I applied for it, only to discover after applying that it wasn't for the first year of COVID; it was the second year. And I'd already started talking to people about taking the month off. And so I said, screw it, I'll just do it myself. And so I bought a Toyota 4Runner, and I put together a camping outfit. And I went and researched online where I could go where there would be no cell phone service whatsoever, that I could camp up against rocks, ideally granite, white granite, and see if I could spend the month writing music and see what would come. And so for the past 2 Januaries, that's exactly what I've done. And it's been kind of an amazing thing. The music has totally come. The second I've gotten to these places, the music just starts coming through. And I've written a few dozen pieces. And now that we're kind of at whatever this moment of COVID is, it's certainly not the post-COVID era, but it's one at least where we're in a room together and I can share things again. We're going to start taking some of this music out into the world. So in some ways, this is our first this is the first performance of many of these pieces, and each one of them has their own special stories. This first one is a piece that I wrote in the Granite Mountains in the East Mojave National Monument. And I got there. The first thing I did was have an encounter with a mountain lion, a very close encounter. And then that evening, I was sitting at the campfire and I started hearing all these little melodies, and it made me think of the former Bay Area resident Josh Smith, who some of you may know, a great saxophone player. And so I wrote a piece about Josh Smith. So this is a piece. The title is like Has Wind or Have Wind or Windy Josh, or there's something about wind because it's very windy. So you will hear the wind and you will hear Josh and the adventures therein. So this is Have Wind. pieces are all written in different places in different deserts. This next one was written in a place called Kofa, which is King of Arizona, which is a big red area north of Yuma, on the sort of the central western side of Arizona. And my dad had a heart attack. I was heading into the deserts. My dad had a heart attack. The family said, let's see how he does before you decide to come to California or not. And so I just perched in this one place, right in the edge of this valley. We'll play another piece in the edge, but it was written in that valley. And it was a weird time. I was sitting kind of in this temporary campsite, and there were a lot of Trump's America represented with their ATVs and the MAGA flags flying their ATVs. And it was the weirdest experience. I just sat. I had a folding white table and a folding chair, and I just sat and wrote music. And this was the weirdest one. I remember writing this and thinking, like, nobody's gonna like this. this is not.
We shall see.
We shall see. You can help me decide if this is a piece we'll like. But it's funny. I got home from it and I played it through and I was like, there's something interesting here. So this is called Kofa Night. It's a temporary title, and let's see how it goes. And then it goes on to a piece called Shredder. Which are the little creatures in the forest stuff that eat the leaves. They're shredders. There's a whole bunch of bugs. They're called shredders. So. One, two, three. Okay, so this one was written the same day, I think, and it's Queen Canyon Field of Stars. This was written that night, and the Moon camp had this big thumb of rock, maybe 500 feet tall thumb. It looked like a thumb coming right out of camp, and it had a cleave right down the middle. And the moon that night came up right through the cleave in the middle. It was incredible, and I was at the campfire writing music, and you could see the shadow coming up the mountain towards me as it rose. And the thumb was at some point perfectly right around me. You could see the full moon all around, but the shadow, I was in the shadow until then all of a sudden it hit. And it was, so I wrote this piece about that moment. Queen Canyon Field of Stars. These are all soprano sax pieces. I promise I'll play the tenor at some point very soon. It is Jordan Glenn's birthday tonight.
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Glenn. Very grateful to have him spend his birthday with us tonight.
Oh man, for real.
For real. Isn't that amazing? so this piece was also written in the white granite mountains. It's called Granite. One, two. Okay, so this one has a story. This one's called Ocotillo and Sunbeam. And the very first camp I went to was in the Anza Borrego Desert, outside of San Diego, between San Diego and the Salton Sea. And it was not white granite, but pink granite, and very old weathered granite. And there were two really good campsites. One campsite was beautiful and kind of like a moonscape, but it had a lot more exposure. And the other was very dark. There was no chance anybody was going to go there. It was really hard to get there in the first place. It was kind of a perfect, like, kind of a dark camp. A place I could go and play the tenor saxophone at night, and it would reverberate off the cliffs of the mountain in front of me, and I just wouldn't see anybody at all. And that was the first place I set up camp, and really was productive there. And I think it was like 7 days in, and it was in the morning, and I'd had dreams at night about music. I was so in it that it was starting to invade my pretty much day and night, and I was really deep in the process of writing. And I think I was actually writing a sax quartet piece that Dan Plonsey and the rest of Goggle Sax Quartet, we were all working on and trading files. Actually, Dan, I think you had sent something to me just before I went into the wilderness, and so I was working on that piece, and I was really immersed in it. And all of a sudden, I heard the sound of a bee. It was just one bee, and I didn't really pay much attention to it. Kept writing, and then next thing you know, there's two bees. And it's that semitone where there's one's a little bit higher than the other, and it kind of gives you that sense of anxiety. And again, I ignored it, and I kept writing. And the next thing you know, there's like 5 bees, and I think this is not good. And I get up from my desk, and I walk over to figure out where it is, and there's these bees flying around. And my coffee pot, I had left about just a little bit of water at the bottom, and they were flying in and out of the coffee pot. And it hadn't rained in the Anza Borrego Desert for 11 months. And these were desert honeybees. They were really thirsty, and they had found water. And so I was like, okay, you guys are thirsty, I get it. So what I did is I got a bowl, and I poured in water, and I carried the water about 100 yards out of camp. And they followed me, and they went straight to the water. And I thought everything was going to be fine. And I went back to the table, and in camp, there's all the bees now at the water, and now in camp there's about 50 bees. The whole camp is just bees like this. And I was so productive that I was like, okay, this is just what this experience is. I'm just going to roll with this. We're just going to be okay with the bees. Let's see what happens. So I wrote all that day with the bees swirling around me. And it's intense because they can sting you. It's a constant, it's those microtones, just constant, this sound, it's aggravating. And I thought, well, at some point they'll go away. And sure enough, when the sun went behind the mountain, and I got into shadow, no more bees. And so then I had the rest of the afternoon, a great night of writing music at the campfire. Next morning, woke up, same thing. There they are. And I didn't think I could handle another day with the bees. And so I started packing up camp because I thought, okay, they want water. I took the water like a quarter of a mile away, made a big bowl of it, said, you guys have it, no water in camp. But at this point, they had figured out that they could get water from there, but they could also probably get more water from me. And so I started packing everything up. I put everything away into the car. I got kind of a simple composition set up, and I walked into the desert. And I thought, okay, they're going to have their way. I'm going to do my thing. And an hour later, they found me, and just me and the bees. And so I spent another day with the bees. And then on the third day, it was really hot. It was was really sunny, no breeze at all. I'm not composing underneath my tent anymore, so I'm getting completely sunburned. And, you know, I'm kind of at this point desperate. And so I decided to walk like a couple of miles away from camp because they were identifying me with the water. And so I walked and walked and walked, carrying all my stuff, tenor saxophone and everything else, and melodica and all the music, water and food. And I got to really a long ways away, and there was this ocotillo tree, which is, you know, something that grows in the Sonora Desert, these long, spiky arms. And it was a big old one, so there was actually shade underneath it. And so I just plopped down underneath the ocotillo tree, and I was like, okay, I don't know how long this is going to last, but let's see what we can do. And I started writing this piece. And sure enough, there's a bee. And I was like, oh my God. And that bee saw me and took off and went back to the hive a couple of miles away, and then a whole bunch of them came back. And so I wrote this with the bees all swirling around me. So it's called Ocotillo and Sunbeam. So we're going to wrap this setup with a piece called Rump Most. So this year, a lot of my composition was done, again, Dan Plonsey, the influence of one of my dear friends, great composer Dan Plonsey, who's here tonight. I've always been a person who kind of obsesses about compositions, work on them, try to get them just right and everything else. And this year I thought, let's see if I can just write just straight out. And so this year I camped on the Barry Goldwater Missile Range, which is a crazy place. You have to get a permit to go there. There's sections of it that they don't bomb. It's in the very, very south, which is advantageous. It's a very southwestern part of Arizona, right on the California-Mexico border. And actually from camp, you could go up on the ridge and you can see Trump's wall, the black wall. But it's in white granite, and it's the Tanajas Altas, which are beautiful, beautiful mountains, like sky islands surrounded by scorched desert and bombed desert in this case. And the second half of the time we'll be playing a piece called Davis Plain, which is kind of about the plain was outside of camp. But camp itself, I chose in every one of these times. I chose places where there was no cell phone service, so I wouldn't have any contact with the outside world. I'd have no distractions. I mean, I don't know about all of you, but I'm a lot less productive now that I have a smartphone. But places I could also go up and get service in case I needed help. And I didn't want to see any people. And this year, for 22 days, I only saw 2 people who were the rangers who oversee kind of the public parts of the missile range. I encountered lots of animals. I had great days and I had really hard days. But one of the great things about camp was I had driven up this long wash, and I had found this one spot right on the base of the white cliffs, where it was a big white gravel area with a big creosote bush in the middle. And I drove around the creosote bush one time just to inspect it, and decided to make a camp. And I parked my truck and set up camp. And I discovered that because the ground was white gravel, that I could see the tire tracks from that one drive in the starlight. The starlight alone was enough to see it, and there was nothing else except for that creosote bush. And so I could walk in the darkness and see just enough. And there was something about the stars and the evening, this one particular night, where I found myself walking in this 100-foot circle in time with my phone, complete idiot, out in the middle of nowhere. No people can hear me or see me, and I can sing, I can be as completely ridiculous as I want to be. And I just sung this whole piece. And then I went back and transcribed it the next day. So this is what that is. So this was, again, acknowledgement of the great Dan Plonsey, and just the capability for just to write a piece just from yourself. And that this is what this piece is. So it's called Rump Most. people join us and stick around. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You lose anybody.
Great.
Cool. Nice tune.
That was fun. That groove is like Popular Mechanics. That's like such a
It's
good
really good.
That 5-bar thing, he could play on that for like 17 years and still make up new stuff. Like, as we were doing it, I was like, oh, this is a thing Jordan and I do.
I dug that a lot. I got
That's
lost
like
in there a couple times, but hitting that top with the big gap in there,
That's like his meat right there. That's like totally his meat.
leaving you hanging for a second and then coming back in.
He loves that.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Thank God you just kept playing. It's like
Well, you know, I know it's fun for you to have like the
do.
objects. You know,
It's so funny because there's a part of me that's, I was kind of like, oh, I mean, it's just such a...
I played it a lot more.
TV.
You actually on the one tune Copta or whatever. You definitely like. I had like a brain blip a couple times. It's funny because I never.
Well, again, like I was just
but
like,
I was like, oh,
whatever it was, I was just like, okay, well.
you feel tired and like
So let's see.
You sound great.
So I think you're gonna come over here
There's
next to me.
something
I'm
about
gonna move my stuff
yeah,
over
your
here.
touch and some of how
We
you
can actually
like
share a score,
bring
I
out
think.
some of these overlapping lines is really fun. It's really great. It's hard to explain this thing.
Yeah, we're gonna put you next to
You
Lisa.
probably don't even exactly realize because you don't play
Maybe
with
we
it.
should share a stand.
But I do. It's really interesting.
Try to get
Man, I wish that we had time to like get it, just like hang
you know
out.
who's going to be on the left and who's
I
going
would
to be on
have
the
brought.
right.
Yeah, I think
how
Dan
we would
and
have
I'll
done
be
it, but I
over
would
here.
have done. I would have brought it in.
Sam and Lisa
Should
over
I
there.
run down the street
Okay,
and just
great.
for like after?
Strings and I'll be asking
We had
you.
the grocery store and
Yeah,
see.
keep the strings quarantined.
Yeah, for sure.
I bet you he's got something we could ask him for,
Okay,
just
so
like
you
a
want to
quick
maybe
toast.
plop that over there?
There's
where
probably
you
something
get
up
to
front
it?
actually.
Plonsey?
Let's go for it.
This is
For
Dan,
him,
right?
for Dan. Yeah.
Do we need music stands for this?
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for coming.
You know, we can create a little more space by certainly I can get this out of the way, but also maybe your cases, you know. Give
Oh,
you,
sure, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
some more
Oh, that
room.
would be awesome. Actually, it's a
Start
good
with
idea.
this.
Yeah, since it is going to be pretty tight.
Sure, you know. Anyway, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I'll move my cases too.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, Jason's listening from home.
Is he really?
Oh boy, is my answer. He said, "Nice set."
All right, great. Yeah, that'll work. Possibilities there.
Keep that stuff up. I don't even know what to do with it.
You guys can
I'm gonna look to see if the bar's open. Sometimes
I think we'll share a stand actually.
share a stand. How about one for Sam?
I think
I
Sam
have
and
a
Lisa
wire
will share a
stand if you,
No, I think
Yeah.
we're reading off the
it's
same
probably
score.
better to, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'd be more efficient. Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, let me move my stuff out of your way.
Thanks for coming.
You bet. I'll see you Sunday.
Looking forward to that.
Guys, hello. Welcome to the two of you. You are, yeah, you've got such a. Your dad's got complete control.
Wow. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she was nice. Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
We're the best.
Not quite the little baby
That's all I
anymore.
do.
Yeah, was it running like? I'm forgetting what's her name.
They've been Corwin. They weren't doing that.
Jumpy.
She was dancing around.
Oh, was she?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, they are the future. They're the future audiences, so. The future cassette buyers.
Need more dancing at the gigs.
For sure. Yeah, it's an avant-gardist to have people dance. Particularly younger people dance. It's a good sign.
Have a good night.
You do. Yeah. Oh, man, you guys are made for that stuff.
Oh my God, I love it.
I spent the morning. Yeah, I spent the morning with Karen. Great.
It's so good. She's getting used to being on stage. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Your dad's gonna put you to work.
He's a little too comfortable on stage.
Okay, go ahead. And Quinn was the same way. I remember, like, the stage of the Lensic. We'd be performing at the Lensic, and she just was like, she was This one here? Oh, Rick. Of course I know Rick. Yes. The marvelous, fantastic Rick.
哎，猪猪，他们要表演了，要下来。来
How many baritone players?
How many?
No, they're.
Gary Mulligan.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you
well-
meant on the gig tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can only afford
Only
one.
one tonight. Whoa.
there's not many. I mean, so there is.
There's probably 100,000 baritone saxophone players in the world.
What? I don't believe you.
Probably what
You're
there's
right.
5 billion people.
I mean,
Somebody's
there's
got
a
to
lot
do
of
that.
tenor players.
That's true. You know, when I moved to New York, I visited someplace and there was a union book, musician.
Figure out where you might want
And I was
Let's
like,
see,
oh,
I'll
that's
be like
interesting. And
this
so I
one.
went
So
through
I'll
the
just pull
saxophones.
this
Yeah,
up a
if you can
little.
just-
And there were 43
Do what-
pages of tenor
logically
sax
makes sense to
players
you,
and, you know,
Okay.
38 pages of alto sax players and 12 pages of baritone saxophone players. And about
really just for the strain.
about
we're not going into
17 soprano sax players. 17 soprano. Well, yeah. And I was like, okay, so
That's it.
I'm gonna play the soprano sax. So I didn't play a tenor for the whole 10 years I was in New York.
That's the one that never.
The most popular? Oh, the tenor. Oh, yeah.
I like the soprano.
Yeah, the soprano's an interesting, squirrely instrument. Yeah, but the tenor's been really fun to get into these past years.
So more tenor lately.
Yeah. All of the tunes we just played, it was all the.
But Chris said
It
he
just
liked the idea of E-flat instruments.
kind of got kind of. All the tunes I chose because I wanted Jordan to be able to play them with just an hour-long rehearsal.
And then
They were all soprano sax pieces.
class.
It was quite
Honestly,
Lisa?
well.
They asked me to sit in on we were doing a thing at the Chapel of Chimes. Did you ever go to any of those things at Crematorium in Piedmont? They have a new music series there every year. It's weird. And so we were playing there. It's hit and miss, but it's an interesting experience. They throw the whole. So we were playing there, and these guys were playing Braxton stuff, Anthony Braxton stuff, and so I sat in with them on a set. We just had so much fun. So we've been collaborating since. Yeah. No, Lisa's real deal.
Hey, Shell.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
I'm gonna get drunk.
Yeah, we love camping in the desert.
Yeah, we
And
spent some time
Borrego
down
and Death Valley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Borrego.
We sealed the deal on our relationship in Death Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Death Valley is.
Valley's amazing. Yeah, I really want to do that residency. And the thing with the national parks, of course, there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not many in Ursa Borrego.
Now there are.
You're playing clearly.
Yeah.
But
Now there's.
I guess it's getting popular.
Yeah, I mean anybody who's into carrying out landscapes.
We've gone, in recent years, we've gone spring, super
Yeah, but you do it, you go during the week. Because the weekend is
Crazy.
During the week, we were in a place that was, well, we almost got stuck. We did get stuck.
got ourselves unstuck.
Yeah, about 10 miles to the road.
Well, I'm always afraid. This next January, I'm going to go back to this one. I'm going with the young photographer I met. So we can go all the way to Trump's Wall. But it's just fucking sandwich. We will get stuck.
just do
We'll just play soft.
are we just gonna do acoustic, or are we gonna try to get you amplified?
I think we should get him in the
Chamber.
PA. I think.
Okay, well, we'll have to see why I wasn't.
Is that too
able to
hard?
work with that before.
Is that? I'm sorry, we didn't mention. I didn't think of that, but
Let's work on that a little bit.
Any of the microphones?
could we lose like the? How about we use the bass mic and the bass line, and then we could just use the DI instead?
Oh, someone needs.
We could use this
No, it's
overhead.
not. Oh, you
It's
mean
not a-
put him through your?
Or he'll let him use this mic.
Let's try to get him through. Well, you want to hear him on the
Okay.
stage?
We'll hear him probably, but the
hear him
audience
fine.
it might be hard
Yeah.
with the saxophones and drums.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about that then. I mean, are we concerned about a monitor for you all for him?
I think we'll hear him fine. I
No,
think
no,
it's more the
yeah.
audience.
So let's just try to get it in the room. So
You want to?
you are on. Let's confirm that I put you where I hope I put you. Yeah, you're in 7. Okay, we'll see if we can get you through this.
Mix, a really good
Through
blend
this
of
little unit
the
here.
trio. Like you're just, you always know just the right volume.
You have various kinds.
Yeah.
Which is just.
Maybe
So
send me.
much
You
worse.
probably
I was
want
gonna
your
say
own
something
stand.
stupid because it's fun to say something stupid, but
Hey,
yeah,
so-
it sounds great.
Directions start anywhere, go to the adjacent.
Still couldn't believe that you were like basically reading all that today. It's just ridiculous.
Play nothing. All right.
There's
That's,
some hard
that's,
stuff
that's
in
an
there.
important spot.
Like meters.
Yeah,
and
actually, things
It's
are
like
really cute
superhuman.
for this, but just so you
No,
can make
it's not
communication with others.
Well, this is okay. Your superpower doing Glenn. I'm gonna tell you this on your
Let's just-
birthday. Is this
these
your
are the-
45th birthday? 46. What
I
is
was
it? 40?
guessing
43.
33. So.
3. I wasn't sure how much
I
younger
only
you
brought
were
it
than
up
me,
because he
so.
thought he made a joke about me
Yes.
being 33. And I was like, "No, today I'm 43.
43.
I wonder if you were 33 when I met you. How long have you been
I could be.
around?
2006, so I've been here.
Oh, just in
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, definitely I was here when I was this.
Let me
33. That was.
So
seems
it's sort of
securely in
self-explanatory. You just follow the
Power.
directions.
Great.
this screen.
You almost don't have to pre-read them, but just know that the important thing is go to an adjacent box. Start at any box. Go to an adjacent box.
That's all.
Can you go diagonally?
If that's the kind of person you are. You can also completely disregard the instructions. So if you're that kind of person, you can.
Are you
that
gonna
as
do
well.
any?
Disregard adjacent
I
instructions.
don't think that there's any queuing.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do this when it's time to wrap it up. And what's more subtle than that?
Found it, yeah.
Are we gonna do one long piece?
Yeah, we'll do one long
That's
piece.
idea. Okay.
And then now and then.
So
Oh,
like
is
a
this
40-minute
referred to
piece.
one of
I'm just
these?
saying that out
Well,
loud.
so then down at the bottom you see that there's the
so
one
you
and
can
two.
go from here into that.
Yeah, so whenever you get into those corner boxes, it's kind of like those games where you get the shoots and ladders, like it's sort of a shoots and ladder thing. And if you're lucky, you might even go to one of those with somebody else and play it with them. The chances are pretty good that you'll do that on your own. And it's just fodder. This is material that is from the records. It tends to be straight. But, yeah, so just use the musical material as you wish.
Sorry to tune over the talking.
It's actually, it's one thing you and I did not do before. Which was
And also it changes. The weather getting so wet lately is freaking my instrument out. So the
yeah,
little-
let's tune up since there are,
Here's an
since
A.
we do have quorum.
So we will, in a second, test.
Yeah, less stable than usually.
Sure.
Yeah.
Testing, testing. You getting anything? Testing, testing. Testing, talking. You'll. I can use my very intimate voice this way, and they'll hear me.
Thank you, Eric.
Yes.
Like nothing personal.
Oh yeah, that's too loud.
Wrong way. Wrong way.
You have such a big sound. Oh, it's good.
Hefty.
And this space.
A little.
Say again? We're all set.
Okay, let me see. Thank you all. I'll check, make sure there's nobody out on the sidewalk that needs to get inside here. Thank you for the second set. We have a couple additional musicians. Dan Plonsey on saxophone and Sam Weiser on violin. We like to pair musicians here, and Chris is certainly helping out with that. But if you feel like you want to dig a little deeper in your pocket, as beneficiaries of this great art and culture and humanity, then feel free. The bucket there and the bucket there, and that'll help the economics of the situation. Because believe it or not, these situations have economics that are always in play here. And I think Sam's probably going to go home not Sam, but Chris is going to go home only about a lot out of pocket. Not you pay the rent okay this month? Rent's paid?
Everything's good.
All right,
Yeah.
good. But anything you can do will help. So thank you. So some more music, and that's not a hard stop. Whatever you want to do. Although, union rules say if they go overtime, you guys got to pony up even more. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I will use the microphone this time. So again, thanks so much to Eric and the crew here. It's just great to be able to do this. And one thing that's happening is that tomorrow, actually, Jason Levis and Lisa and I were going into the studio to record some of these pieces and release an album of it. So tonight was intended to be kind of a warm-up, and Jason wasn't able to make it. And so, again, Jordan was able to join us, and that's fantastic. And as a consequence, too, we had the great opportunity of kind of envisioning what our second set might be to complement the first. And so I wrote a piece today called Davis Plain. And this is kind of written about this giant plain between, I was outside of camp, a giant space where there were no people and lots of animals and ocotillo trees and everything else. And so this is really inspired by that whole experience. This is based on a structure that George Lewis came up with, which is sort of a structural, responsive, improvisational scheme. And so we'll be following that tonight. Also, we'll be peppering in little melodic components written also there in the desert. So this is Davis Plain. We'll play continuously for this whole next piece. So okay, so here goes Davis Plain. Thank you. Thank you. Stan Weiser. Yeah. Lisa Mezzacappa. The birthday boy. Jordan Glenn. The ever glamorous Stan Plonsey. And I'm Jonas. Thank you so much for being here tonight. All right.
That was beautiful,
Yeah.
guys.
Lovely. Beautiful. Wow.
Nice piece.
Such a
Chris.
happy ending too.
Yeah.
That was so pretty.
Infused with optimism.
I hadn't done a bold thing the whole time.
Okay.
And then
That was
you
the
guys were
bold
playing G.
Oh yeah, fuck.
And then
I
you
was like,
you did the bow and it like bowed almost exactly a G, and I was like, that's pretty bold. That's pretty bold to play an upper G string on that, I think.
let me just justify what I did.
This one. Whoa. Nice. That was fun, you guys.
Nice save, Chris.
Yeah, that's right.
We were on the phone talking about this yesterday, and it was like, no, this is actually an opportunity to play with all the people that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, get a